Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I'm Anne Alvares, parent coach, school counselor, and mother of two. Do you sometimes struggle with your parenting role? Do you notice that sometimes you're repeating patterns that you learned in your own childhood? Maybe you are carrying childhood pain that has not been healed, and you notice that it is showing up in your parenting with your own children. Perhaps you yell or get frustrated easily. Maybe you are directing them or telling them what to do all the time, and you notice that your actions are affecting your relationship with your children. Well, parents, I totally understand this. I came from childhood pain and I learned how to be a relational parent with my children. And I can teach this to you as well. This podcast is all about learning how to heal the childhood pain that we are carrying so that we can foster healthy relationships with our kids. Join us every week for a new show, and we will dive into the healing and the fostering of healthy relationships with our children. Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast and YouTube channel. Today, I am going to go into healthy behaviors in a family. Last episode, I talked about what are the unhealthy behaviors, like the top 10 unhealthy behaviors in families, that come from like dysfunctional families. And I went through all top 10 in detail. So then I promised you that to the next episode, which is today, I would go over how do we turn that around? How do we change from unhealthy to healthy behaviors? Um, and so I'm going to walk through a step by step how to start transforming your families from unhealthy to healthy. Okay. So we're going to go with the first thing, first step. So the first step is that you need to recognize the behavior that's unhealthy without denying it. You need to say, okay, I know that yelling at my children is not healthy, or that I am putting on too much uh, on my children, or I have too high expectations of them. And you got to be honest with yourself about what's happening, right? Because if we're not honest, we can't make change. So we need to make sure that we're being honest about our part, what we're doing. That's the unhealthy behavior. And we got to name it. We got to say, okay, I'm emotionally neglecting my child, or I'm manipulating, or I'm not having good enough boundaries with them. Okay. And then also, once you recognize or once you're aware of the behavior, the unhealthy behavior that you're doing, you can journal about it. You can say, I'm gonna write about it, um, to clarify the why you're doing it, how your children responded, um, how often is the yelling happening, and how does it affect you? What's going on inside you when you are responding in an unhealthy way or reacting in an unhealthy way? Okay. So first step is recognize it without denial. Okay. Journal about it so you can process the unhealthy behavior. Second step is you have to establish clear boundaries, right? So, I'm not okay with that anymore. I'm not going to yell anymore. I'm not going to put up with my child doing this, pushing my buttons, triggering me. I'm going to be consistent. If my boundaries are ignored, then I will calmly reinstate or restate my boundaries, what they are, so that everybody's aware. Even my kids are aware. I'm not going to be listening to the arguing anymore right now. How about we talk about it later? Okay, so that's establishing clear boundary. When you know you're about to get triggered, And you feel it in your body first because you start to feel tense or your heart starts racing or you get all sweaty. Something is happening to you physically as a warning sign that, okay, you're starting to get upset. Then you can just take a moment, like take a moment, pause, breathe, go for a walk, remove yourself so that you don't do one of those unhealthy behaviors that we talked about. And then you can come back and say, okay, um, I was upset when you were blaming me for this, or um, you were ignoring me several times when I asked you to do something, and that upset me. All right, so it's like speaking that way to our kids is okay. Explaining how you're feeling is okay, right? It's much better than yelling. It's much better than ignoring. So we can come back and we can have a dialogue like, what's going on? How come you spoke to me in that way, son or daughter? What are you so upset about? Because when you're upset, it upsets me. I get upset. How do we fix this? Okay. So this is establishing clear boundaries. When you have an open discussion, you explain, you don't want to fight, you don't want to argue. Let's talk about this. Setting clear boundaries. Okay. So number one, being aware of the behavior and being honest with yourself about it. Number two, setting clear boundaries so that you can deal with it, whatever the issue is that is reoccurring, that you have to heal that part. And then you got to communicate assertively, but not aggressively. Okay. And not aggressive, passive aggressive. All right. So you can say, um, in counseling, we often use I statements, right? I felt upset. I felt unheard. I felt that you were ignoring me. I felt unimportant, right? Is that what you wanted me to feel? Did you want me to feel unimportant? What is it? What were you trying to communicate to me? So I felt hurt when I'm criticized. I feel upset when you roll your eyes. When I'm talking, I feel like you're not respecting me or you don't care about my feelings. Okay, so it's okay to say all of that. You got to stay calm and you got to stay focused, right? You don't get into a drama situation or a shouting match, right? So we use an I statement to communicate what is happening for us, how we're truly feeling about the way our child is communicating with us or what they're doing. All right. And then number four is we understand the root causes. Okay. This is super important to understand. Okay. I'll give you an example. I was working with a mom and I told her like you should try to connect daily with your teenage son. And she said, okay. So then the next session we had, she said, I was texting him all the time. And then he said, you're texting me too much, mom. And then she was upset about it, like really upset and hurt because I told her to connect it as much as she can. So then my question was, I wanted her to get to the root cause. And I said, okay, so what message are you telling yourself when he said, you're texting too much, mom? What is the message? Oh, that he doesn't love me, that he doesn't care about me, that he's not respecting me. I said, okay, when in your childhood did you feel that? When in your childhood did you feel unloved, unrespected, uncared for? And then she could go back into her childhood and she could name moments when she felt that. I said, okay, so that's where this is coming from. You're repeating a hurt that you had from your childhood. You are, you are that little girl again, and you're being triggered by him not wanting to get so many text messages. But what if it's not that he doesn't love you? What if it's not that he doesn't care about you? What if it's that he's just busy and he needs you to stop texting so much? What if it's that? And she said, oh, are you saying everything stems from our childhood? And I said, yeah. A lot of times when we overreact or get emotional, it comes from our childhood and it comes from a place of pain, something in our childhood that caused us pain. Okay. So that was her root cause, her feeling of not being cared for or respected, was transferred onto her son's behavior. But her son he wants to hear from his mother. He just doesn't want to hear from her all the time because he knows if he doesn't text back, she'll be upset, right? Our kids know these things, right? But so then he tries to be honest with her and by saying, Mom, it's too much. And you know what? He's having a boundary. And I told her this is a good thing. It's a good thing when our kids communicate their boundaries to us because that's what you want him to learn. But if you get mad at him for expressing how he truly feels, then now it's not safe to tell you things, right? So we have to be the safe place that we can handle anything that they tell us. And then we have to stop ourselves from not personalizing. I call it personalizing when you make it about you and not about your child. So we have to get to the root cause of your trigger, your upset. Okay. Many unhealthy behaviors are generational, and people often repeat these behaviors, what they experienced in their childhood. And empathy can help you detach emotionally, but it doesn't mean that you have to tolerate abuse and dysfunction. But you can say, okay, hold on, I'm going to be kind to myself right now in this moment that I'm feeling upset because I know it's coming from a place of pain that's not resolved yet, that hasn't healed. So I'm going to give myself that love, that care right now, and then talk about it. Okay. So communicating with our kids helps. And that's what she did. She communicated with him, and that actually really, really helped her to understand a bit more. All right, number 5 is don't try to fix everything alone. Okay, I know you think I'm busy, I can do this, I can handle it, especially moms. Moms are like, we can do everything, but we can't. Okay, we just cannot. So we need to make sure that we're not forcing change in people that don't want to change, right? If they don't see it as a problem and we're trying to force it, it's not going to work. We're honestly, parents, we're not here to change other people. We can influence. I talk a lot about that, about influencing our kids. But we can't change. People have to want to change. Even our kids, they have to want it. They have to buy into it, buy into the transformation, buy into the studying hard, buy into the wanting more for themselves, buy into the getting healthy and exercising. Okay, they have to have buy-in. And we can't force and control because that's actually unhealthy. What we do is we influence. And I can talk a lot about that whole topic about influencing our kids, and how to get there. But we can't fix it. Okay, sometimes we can't fix it because they don't want to, right? But focus on what you can control, what your boundaries are, your responses, and your healing. And remember, sometimes we make these messages in our head based on fear. If our kid isn't doing this, oh my gosh, they're going to have a terrible adult life. And it's simply not true. Our kids are constantly changing and evolving. And just, you know this, like just because they're wetting their bed at 6 doesn't mean they're going to be wetting their bed at 25. Like we need to take a chill pill on those things. And we need to just allow things to transform. Our kids are constantly changing and adapting. A kid who was shy at 4 could be talking on the stage in grade 12. I've seen it. I've seen kids transform. right? But what we do in that time period is so important because we can either stifle, them coming out of it, or we can motivate, inspire, and give them courage. Okay. So number 6 is create emotional distance if necessary. Okay. Emotional distance is, okay, I'm getting heated up right now. I need to take a walk. I need distance from what is happening, right? And sometimes you have to detach from toxic dynamics, right? This could be in a marriage, right? Maybe you're going through some toxic things that are happening in your relationship. Or you could have like a toxic relationship with your teenager because you didn't have boundaries when they were younger. And so now you have to backtrack and try to fix it, right? And part of it is you're going to have to take some time out with being with the toxic person because you can't change them unless they want to change, but you can inspire and you can have boundaries and say, I'm not putting up with you calling me names and I will not talk to you until you can talk to me like your mother, right? I'm not allowing someone to treat me this way, all right? This is what you got to do with the difficult teens, okay? But remember, again, we're also going to feed the emotional bank account with our kids because that actually helps them to not be so toxic, right? Like, honestly, the reason they do the things that they do, the yelling, the screaming, the whatever, is because there's there is a pain in them that needs healing. Maybe we weren't healthy with them when they were younger, and we have to backtrack and try to figure things out. But creating emotional distance is good, is healthy, okay? Because you don't want to get into a fighting match, an arguing match. It's not going to make things better. It's going to make things worse. We don't want slapping, hitting, any kind of manipulation. So we're going to limit or say, until I calm down or until you calm down, we can't have a talk right now. When you're ready to talk to me, when we are both calm, then how about we have this discussion, right? This is the way you can talk to your child um, who may be displaying unhealthy behavior with you. Okay, and then number 7 is to seek outside support. Yeah, sometimes parents, we need help. It's okay. I have had help in my parenting journey, honestly. Um, not professional help, like not coaching help, because I do a lot of counseling. So I feel really good about understanding what is healthy and what's not healthy. But I have had to get help with um, being triggered by my child. It's my oldest. I was still not totally healed. And so I did get some triggers, not very many, but I did get some triggers and I had a good friend that helped me to understand that he's actually someone that I model like my whole theory of relational parenting from because he told me, have a conversation. If you're wondering, if you're questioning, have a conversation. And that was a moment when I understood that a conversation builds a relationship, but getting mad and punishing does not. And that's what I did. I had a conversation with my oldest son. He had done something that was against what I had asked him. I took it personally because I still had childhood pain, so I did take it personally. I was upset. But once we had a talk, I understood him better. Honestly, that talk was very impactful because he helped me to realize what I was doing, the pattern I was repeating. I wasn't aware I was repeating the pattern, but I was repeating a pattern from my childhood with him, controlling. That was a pattern. My mom was very controlling of me, and I wasn't super controlling with him, but in this instance, I was controlling. And he helped me understand. what I was doing. And that helped me to change. Okay, because I didn't want to be that controlling parent. Okay, so getting advice from someone that you respect as a parent, seeking therapy or counseling is a good thing, parents. It's a really good thing. And support groups. You know, I have a tribe. I always call them my tribe, my family group of parents where our kids play together, and we have similar values and attitudes about our children and where we want them to go, similar visions. You know, you have a group of parents that can give you support and help or give you ideas. That's also helpful. And um, confiding in a trusted friend, mentor, or spiritual advisor can also help change your perspective. All right. So, seeking outside support is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's always good to learn and to get support. Okay. And number 8 is decide what role you're willing to play. Ask yourself, is this family relationship safe and reciprocal? Like, am I giving love, receiving love, um, or am I doing it all without any care? Like nobody's helping me, right? We have to look at our family dynamic, and everyone needs to feel like they're supported, cared about. Um, that the burden, I shouldn't say burden, the the responsibilities in a family are shared so that one person doesn't get resentful. Okay. So sometimes I've seen it with the kids. The kids have all this responsibility, and the parents put everything on the kids, and then the kids are resentful. That's not healthy, right? Or maybe it's a mom that's taking care of everybody, or a dad, and somebody's not holding their weight. Okay. So, like, you need to feel like everybody's helping. That's a healthy family. Everybody is helping. And if a person is ill, that everyone is gathering around to help that person. Okay. All right. You need to say, like, I didn't learn this because I came from childhood pain. And maybe if those of you that came from childhood pain, you didn't learn this either. But we have to ask for what we need. We cannot expect people to read our minds, and we can't suffer in silence. Okay. So asking what you need is important. I have told parents it's okay to tell your children, mommy's tired and she needs to have a little rest. Okay, can you watch TV or play a game or give them something to do and take that time? I'm a firm believer in that, making sure you're taking care of yourself and showing that to your kids because actually it's good role modeling for them. You know, your kids will learn, oh, mom's prioritizing her physical well-being, or her mental well-being, or her emotional well-being, right? Like, that's actually a good thing. Okay. So don't expect kids to be mind readers or your spouse to be a mind reader. You have to verbalize what you need. All right. And know when to walk away. Like, if you're in a abusive marriage, I was in an abusive marriage. It was very, very difficult. Um, so if there is abuse, gaslighting, disrespect, disregard for your well-being, then you know what? You cannot be healthy with an unhealthy person, and you can't allow unhealthy people to be in your home. They need to get help. So if it's a teenager, you need to get your teenager help. They can't be terrorizing everybody in the family. People can't be walking on eggshells with that person. And the same with a spouse. If a spouse is being unhealthy, that spouse needs to be removed from the family until that spouse gets help. The spouse needs to want to get help and be healthy and not contaminate the family with unhealthy behavior. Okay. That is something I learned, that we have to protect our families from unhealthy people, even if they are our own family members, right? Okay, because we cannot be healthy with unhealthy people in our homes. Our home is our safe haven, and everyone needs to feel good and safe in our homes. Right? So you may have to make a big decision to remove that person from the home while they're trying to get better, right? Until you see improvement. That's a boundary that you have. Okay, number 10, commit to your own healing. You have to break the cycle. You have to make a decision. I am not going to repeat the patterns from my childhood. Okay? I made that decision. Even before I had kids, I knew I did not want to repeat my childhood with my kids. And I really, really worked on me. I really worked on myself, on my self-worth, um, and diving into the pain. Like I cried about it. I mourned it. I mourned my childhood. And I confronted my mom about it, as a young woman. And all of it was a part of my healing journey so that I wouldn't pass it down to my kids. And then I became very, very aware of what I was doing, that I was always expressing love to them, caring about them, spending time with them. Things that I didn't get, I was determined to give to my children. And that's how we break the cycle. We make it a decision, not going to pass that down, not going to pass down the yelling, not going to pass down the controlling, not going to pass it down. And then we learn what is healthy, right? How to communicate in a healthy way, how to regulate our emotions, how to be healthy together. And we practice self-care. I told you, parents, this is so, so important that we put ourselves as a priority because we cannot take care of our families when we are not well, right? If we're not taking care of ourselves, our mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, if we're not taking care of all the facets of ourselves, then the family actually suffers. So we have to put ourselves on the top of self-care. Make time for yourself every day to rejuvenate and feel good. Take breaks, when you're feeling overwhelmed. Get help, get support, because it's tough. It's very challenging, you know, um, and exhausting sometimes, raising little ones and then moving through all the stages with them. So important that you're prioritizing your self-care. Okay, self-care is not selfish. Self-care is mandatory for good parenting. All right, and always remember that you can't always change everybody in your family, but you can change the way that you're engaging, and you can stop the unhealthy that's going on in your family with boundaries. And when you start taking control and start adopting and prioritizing your own peace, then you're going to see a, a totally different dynamic in your homes. Okay, parents? I promise you, it is really the truth. Okay, so if you would like to develop like a specific strategy for your situation, um, like handling a critical parent or like changing something that you're doing that you notice and your kids are upset about. Um, if you have manipulation with family members or you feel like emotionally unavailable, um, there are emotionally unavailable family members in your home and you're not sure how to deal with that. This is all part of the coaching that I do parents to help you to heal from it, right? To recognize the hurt because maybe the hurt is still going on and to heal that part and to develop strategies so that you can feel peaceful and you can have the strength to deal with the unhealthy behaviors that may still be going on in your life, right? And also to ways to create a healthy home. You may need support with. So reach out, reach out. I'm so happy to help you with that. All right, parents, I thank you, and I hope that this show was insightful and that you got a lot out of it. If this show has helped you or blessed you in any way, I would love it if you could give me a review on Apple Podcasts, if you could follow my podcast, my YouTube channel, if you could follow my YouTube channel, or if you could do a Google review. All of those things would be great so that we can get masterful parenting out to more and more parents. And then we can raise healthy children. Thank you so much, parents, and we will see you next time. Thank you, parents, for joining the show today. If this show blessed you, changed you, or helped you in any way, I would appreciate a Google review or a review on my podcast. And I would love you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Masterful Parenting, so we can get the word out to more parents about relational parenting. Thank you so much, parents, and we will see you next time. Take
Audio
care,
Jungle.
everybody.